Good afternoon and welcome to FACEBA's Best Practice webinar on 10 ways to use social media to grow your donor database. I'm joined today with my co-producer and we're really excited to have a crowded room, so make sure you scooch over so everybody's got room to fit in. So thank you so much for being here. I'm Debbie Stanley. I'm Director of Customer Success for FACEBA. Let me start off with telling you just a little bit about FACEBA. FACEBA is all about connecting people with information. We know that we all want to do more, and that information is the driver. It's the power that helps make that happen. And the right information will help us all make a greater impact. So today we're going to talk about how social media can provide greater insight to help you make a greater impact. So as I said today, my co-producer is Kathleen Glass. Kathleen comes to us with 25 years experience in sales and marketing. She has taught thousands of professionals how to be successful using Twitter, LinkedIn, and other social media platforms to grow their business. And she has graciously agreed to share that expertise with us today. So thank you, Kathleen.
Thank you, Debbie. I am so excited to be here. I really appreciate your having me and the opportunity to talk about this really awesome transition that's happening that nonprofits have the ability to embrace. And really, we're going to start with what's going on. Traditionally, emails and websites have been the most important communication for nonprofits with communicating with their supporters, volunteers, and donors. But that's changing for a number of reasons. Social media audiences are increasing significantly. There's an average of 37% increase in Twitter followers and an increase of 42% in Facebook fans between 2013 and 14, and that's even grown more in the last 18 months. As this grows, we need to be able to spread our message for good over social and encourage our donors, volunteers, and supporters to engage and share their excitement about the cause. But social media is about more than just likes. Social engagement is critical for your nonprofit, and it can help you reach new donors and drive new online donations. So our agenda today is we're going to talk about a little bit about why social is important to you if you haven't really started to get engaged in it deeply. And we're going to share the top 10 ways to make social engagement drive those donations. And then hopefully at the end we might have a little bit of time for Q&A, depending on what we've got left. So what's driving all of this? First of all, there are shifting demographics. As the population ages, the donor community does as well. Remember those days when you used to print things out and put them in an envelope and lick a stamp? Gosh, I know I'm dating myself. Well, now our donors are starting to move online, and yes, you do need to keep your mix because you can't just shut off one of your channels. You need to start to evolve and embrace the new channels. And what's happening is we have a whole new audience of millennials out there who are wanting to engage deeply in their causes, as they have really strong giving habits. The thing is, they don't have email and they don't like to listen to voicemail. So they are engaged with Twitter and chat and text, and that's where the social communication is driving forward. The other big industry trend is the online giving growth. So online giving has been really growing in strength over the last year or so as well, whereas in 2014, overall giving had held steady at about 2.1%. Online giving had grown by 8.9%. That's really significant. And social and mobile are really becoming a way to capture this online trend. And sort of pulling all this together is this study that we have seen that there is a science that's being understood that peers influence peers. Peer networks actually can influence action. In a study by the American Red Cross recently, 70% of the surveyors said that they would take action after seeing a friend's post about giving. And 1 in 4 would donate to a charity if asked by name on social media. This is huge. And so does it really work? Yes, social media does count in donations. In other studies that have happened over the last couple of years, it's been shown that fundraising goals with Twitter had 10x better results than those without. That's a big number, and it really demonstrates that this works if you pull all the pieces together. And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the top 10 ways to rock social media. So let's do the top 10 countdown. All right, starting with number 10, listen and learn. And this is really the best place to start. It's really about what we call social listening, the process of monitoring your social and digital media channels to devise a strategy that's going to better influence your consumers. Because in order to communicate with them, you need to be where they communicate, and you want to be talking about the things that they want to hear. Think about this as like a party. Would you just show up at a party and walk in and only join conversations that are about you? No. We're going to talk a little bit more about this idea of it being about more than just you. Here are some of my favorite social listening tools. I love Hootsuite and Buffer because they let you not only schedule content, but they also let you monitor engagement so you can hear your mentions and your retweets and start to get metrics off of that. Now, the cool thing about all these tools that I'm going to talk about is that there is a free version or a low-cost version available. So basically, I'm not going to advocate that you have to spend a ton of money to do this. A lot of the social tools can be easily attainable for free. So one of my next favorites that hardly anybody knows about, but it's Topsy. And Topsy does two things for me. First of all, it lets me figure out what are my top hashtags and who's using them. So it not only lets me figure out what the hashtags are that I need to use to engage more audience, but it also helps me find thought leaders and other folks who may be also going to share and talk about that topic and who have content I might want to share. That's something I'll come back to later. Mention, Social Rank, Social Mention, and Clout are all also great tools. When you talk about this idea of social influence rankings or Clout scores, you have a way to kind of gamify with yourself and see what your score is to see if you're really increasing your influence and getting the word out there in a meaningful way and getting your engagement. So it's kind of fun to look at those scores, but it's also kind of helpful as well to give you some feedback. All right, number 9, establishing your brand voice. Now, you know, we're going to be asking that your internal folks and your external folks and your donors are all going to be talking about you. You actually do have the ability to establish your voice and maintain your brand through this engagement. And we'll talk about some of the tools you can do that with and some of the ways that you can help them share and stay on brand. But as we talked about, you need to know your audience and understand which channels that each of your segments or demographics are going to hang out in. Now, there are so many social channels out there, and you should not sign up and try to engage with all of them. Some are going to be better for your particular types of donors or volunteers or whatnot, people exchanging stuff or their treasures. They're going to, you know, they're going to have more meaning if they're more pictorial. They might be on Instagram or Pinterest. And so you really want to pick the ones that are right for you. What I would say is I think Facebook tends to be very strong in the nonprofit community, so I would sort of advocate that that's sort of your base. But the thing is, you really want to figure out which ones are best and keep focused on those, and that will help you focus your voice as well. Plan it out. This is just like any other business activity or any marketing activity, or I know you all plan your races and walks to the nth degree. So have a plan and create an editorial calendar for your social media as well. And do that week by week and day by day, and then monitor what's working and what's not, and change it up, and always make sure you're including your hashtags and have links to things that are going on and whatnot. but that's really going to help you create a plan and stick to it. Number 7, and I know this is in the middle of our countdown, but I kind of think number 7 is one of our most important ones because it's about engaging and celebrating your supporters. Remember, we said it's not just a one-way conversation, it's about engagement, and your supporters want to get excited and they want to celebrate the cause that they're passionate about. So make sure that you're posting shout-outs when a gift comes in or a milestone is reached, or you raised your funds for your walk. Tag your donors in photos. Develop an influencer program. You have to figure out who your influencers are. I have some tricks that we'll talk about a little bit later. Create a tweet program with updates, client quotes, donor thank yous, and most of all, remember what we said, people like to be mentioned by name. Thank and mention those donors by name. It's a two-way conversation, and you can get them excited that way. This is kind of a neat way that you can get your engagement with both your internal folks and your external folks in a really deep way, and that's tweet chat.
Tweet chats? Kathleen, I've heard of tweet chats. I've seen tweet chats at NTEN, at the peer-to-peer conference and things like that. How would you suggest a nonprofit engage in using a tweet chat?
I'm so glad you asked, Debbie. First of all, you want to figure out what your hashtag is for your tweet chat so it has a name. So you go on Topsy, and in this case, you want the least popular hashtag. I discovered that we were trying to create an event one time. We thought we had a great name, but Oracle was already using it for their giant user group, so you don't want to cause confusion. So in this case, go find something unique but meaningful and short, and usually has chat at the end of it, but keep it short. Set that up and then schedule that at a time, usually once a week at a set hour, and schedule that, and then make sure that you have guest speakers or panelists or thought leaders that will be part of the Q&A, that your volunteer community or your donor community or your followers can come in and ask questions, engage, have a conversation, celebrate a big event, those kinds of things. But you do it on a regular basis. It's sort of like, oh, I don't know, a regular staff meeting, but a lot more fun.
That sounds really cool.
And all of these things, you've got your calendar, you've got your scheduled tweet chats. It's really important. On number 6, keep it regular. You have to be consistent. There is nothing sadder than going to a website's social media page and it hasn't been updated since last Thanksgiving food drive. You really need to keep it engaged. And, back to that brand piece, a dead social site is bad for your image. So really be committed and start small, pick your core platforms, and be as engaged on that few handful as you can, and that'll keep it active and concentrated. Another thing about this is when you say it matters. So, and this varies. It's going to vary across the board. It's going to vary by platform, and it's also going to vary for you. So I want you to use some of these tools I'm going to tell you about to figure out, Social Funnel and some of those would give you some of these details. But like Facebook, best days, according to Neil Patel, a social media expert, he says best days to post on Facebook are Thursday and Friday. And typically, that's in the mid part of the day, early afternoon, for example. And he uses fan page karma to find optimal times for your audience. For Twitter, that's a little bit different. You would be considered, nonprofits would typically be considered B2C, and so that's sort of a weekend engagement. And Pinterest is early Saturday evenings. And for LinkedIn, Neil Patel said that Tuesdays between 10 and 11 are best, or Wednesday and Thursday, next best, between 7 and 8 a.m. and 5 and 6 p.m. What we've discovered is basically commuters like to look at their LinkedIn, the business commuters look at their LinkedIn kind of when they're coming in on the train or leaving at the end of the day. I just hope they're not driving and doing LinkedIn at the same time. So, number 5, make your message mobile. This is really critical. Social and mobile go hand in hand. 47% of people access email via their smartphones, but an even larger number are using their Facebook. Facebook is much more widely used over mobile than desktop, as is Twitter. So make sure everything you do and everything you publish is mobile friendly. Because remember, those millennials that you're now trying to go out and engage as your next wave of donors is on text, chat, Facebook, and doing it all on mobile. All right, number 4, another really fun one, leverage your peer-to-peer power. As you've probably caught on, all of this is about engaging and getting your donors excited about their causes. The best way to leverage social for your races, runs, and walks is to enlist peer-to-peer engagement. And I think Debbie knows a couple of things about this one, so I'm going to have her comment about this postcard.
I do. And I know that there's several people on our call today that run some pretty large community events with some pretty hefty fundraising goals as well. Can we say woohoo? So I do the Komen 3-Day. I have to raise $2,300 every year. This is my 5th year. So what I did was I used this beautiful social media tool, and I replaced this little URL here at the bottom, so it went directly to my participant page. By doing so, it made it very easy for me to share to my social networks and really leverage my friends and my family to help me reach my goal. Do you know I raised $300 on Facebook? I've never raised a dime on Facebook for this event ever before, but by putting a picture out there, following Kathleen's advice, man, it worked.
Sounds like a lot of fun, and that's good advice that we want to share about these kinds of tools and templates. That's part of this one. To help with the peer-to-peer engagement, offer templates, and Avon 39 Fast Track does a great job with theirs, providing sample tweets, providing sample images, giving instructions on how to get engaged and what platforms they're engaged on. So those kinds of things really help engage your audience and make it easy peasy for them. All right, number 3, if you haven't really caught on yet already, it's really not all about you. Guy Kawasaki is absolutely the top social media guru, and he wrote a book called The Art of Social Media, Power Tips for Power Users, and that is great reading. I highly recommend it for anybody who's getting started in the social media, and then it's just good reminders. And even me, I just love this one, 411, 4 pieces of content from others, those thought leaders you might have found on Topsy, 1 reshare of your own original educational content, maybe best practices or tips or information about one of your fundraising activities, 1 self-serving promotional post. That's really that you get to talk solely about you, only about 5% of the time. So it's like being at a party, right? You need to be stirring the mix and getting everybody else talking about what's fun about them and what excites them. I think that really makes a lot of sense. Number 2, second to final on our countdown, include a photo. And this one's really, really big too. If you include a photo, you're going to get 5 to 9 times as many retweets. Really, it's a big deal. And I know this. So even when I go get lazy and I forget to put my pictures in, shame on me. And I really see that in my results. And this was a really fun one that Given did. It was super easy for them to do. They got their volunteers and constituents to share a little bit about their favorite cause. They put in their custom hashtag. They took a picture, and it was so easy. It was a push of a button to tweet that out and share it. And this got a lot of fun mentions and retweets and engagement because we were using their handles too. And you don't have to just use photos because sometimes it's not easy. It's like, well, you know, am I going to snap a photo of Debbie? But how many of those little selfies can we possibly do for ourselves and share? So there's other ways to jazz it up. The first one is you can get meaningful images, maybe off of stock photos, and jazz them up a little bit with a tool. Another Guy Kawasaki thing is Canva. And Canva, like Canvas without the S. Canva is a really cool little artistic tool that sizes your infographic artwork for you, really easy, lets you put in a hashtag or a little bit of celebration or something like that. And that's free for individuals. And what they now have is an enterprise level, and that is, they have a program that's free for nonprofits. So I definitely check out Canva's nonprofit program. Infographics. Infographics, people love infographics. They love to share them. There's lots of content you can cram into one little infographic. You can make it fun, but you can get your messages in there, your statistics and your goals in there all as well. This is a fun little example for November, which is coming up, and people will definitely click on this and share it out, and that'll get a lot of amplification as well. The last one is a postcard. Again, size things already for your group so it's easy for them. So it's picture perfect for Twitter or Facebook. Give little postcards that are sized to their social platform and makes it really easy to share that out. And we're down to number 1 on our final countdown, and that is number 1, what's driving behavior? You've been doing all this, and yes, you'll be able to measure in donations, but you really, as you go along, need to know who those top influencers are. And I don't mean just the top biggest donors. An influencer is somebody who has a major network. They might actually not necessarily be your biggest fundraiser, but they've got the network, and it's their power of their network that's going to give you lift. So they're going to bring you new donors. They're going to bring you new donations through the power of their influence. And a lot of the social media tools that I talked about earlier today will be able to tell you what were your mentions, which tweets or posts were popular, what were you doing well with your posting, but there's not that much out there yet. This is a big tease, that will let you know who your top influencers are so you can amplify that message. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Debbie to tell you a little bit more about how you can actually find out about those top influencers.
She's such a tease, isn't she? So that was lots of great information, Kathleen. Thank you so much. So I feel a little bit like, you know, Tim the tool guy. So she pointed out that there's a whole toolbox out there, but we only have time to use only about 3 to 5 of those brilliant ideas. You know, I'm sure everybody on this phone will agree that there's just so much to do and not enough time to do it. So FACEBA has a simple social sharing app that will do 3 to 5 things for you, all with 2 or 3 steps to set up. So now don't hang up. I promise these next 10 minutes will be worth it, and there is a prize at the end. And this tool that I'm going to show you goes right along with everything Kathleen's talking about. It is free for the first 90 days. So let's talk about Given. So as I said, the key is simplicity. We're going to ask you to sign up. We'll ask you a little bit of detail about your organization, and then that'll create your login. You'll have an opportunity later on down the line, or actually in the administrative section, to add additional users. But this is going to be your initial account setup. And then your first step is really creating that brand voice. As Kathleen said, you want to include pictures in your social media post and ensure that your voice is being heard. Given gives you a very, very simple way to do that. You're going to upload a picture and add your logo. You can create up to 3 different campaigns. So let's say you want to create a campaign for Given Tuesday. You want to create a campaign for your upcoming run or your upcoming walk. You want to create a campaign that has to do with, you know, advocacy, a big political agenda that you're trying to pursue. So you could create up to 3 different campaigns, and each one is individually branded. Then you're going to share your impact. So more and more funders, more and more donors are asking, hey, what is the real impact of my dollar? What will my money do? More importantly, research has proven that including an impact statement can increase your average donation by 20%. So if you're giving, you know, if you're asking somebody for, you know, $25, putting an impact statement in there, they will give you $30. And those little upticks add up, as we know. So we'll give you some examples. We'll help teach you how to quantify senior meal or a cancer treatment in really bit-sized pieces so that your supporters can really understand it. And that's it. 2 simple steps. Create your brand, add your impact statements, and it creates this beautiful custom postcard that is already sized to be shared in social media. And it fits all of the share guidelines for LinkedIn, for Twitter, 140 characters, 144 characters. Kathleen's teaching me well too, and all of the Facebook mandates, so that it's very easy for your supporters to help spread their word. Now, how are you going to use this little custom URL that is generated? Well, a couple of suggestions. First of all, you want to get them involved right at the moment of giving. So you want them sharing their excitement, sharing their journey. So we suggest that you put that URL on the confirmation page. You know, normally this is auto-generated by your payment system. However, you always have the ability to edit that copy, and adding that URL is a perfect spot to encourage that sharing. So now you also, many times you'll send them a thank you email that says, hey, thank you so much for your support. There's a second place where you can ask them to share. Hey, thank you so much for doing this. Now take another step for me. Take another step for us. Take another step to cure cancer, and share this with your social networks. Now, when they share that URL, it takes them to this custom postcard that you created. Then, with little click of check marks, it shares out to the most popular social network channels. Another thing that Kathleen mentioned to you is there is a plethora of systems out there, and it's very difficult to get people involved in all of these different things. Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn continue to be the most popular social media channels, and with 3 little check marks, your supporters can now share that out with their friends, family, and various strangers that follow you on Facebook. You know who those are. Now, Given will automatically create an account for the donor using the social sign-in tools. And so when somebody clicks, it goes right to their Facebook. When somebody clicks on that image, it takes them to your donation page or to anything else you want to send them to. If you're doing an event, you could have it sent to your sign-up page. If you're doing you've just opened registration for your turkey trot, have that sent to them. And so people can sign up, say, hey, I signed up for the turkey trot. Won't you join me? Great way to pre-burn calories, isn't that what everybody says? So it's a very simple process. And we know, all of us know, the easier it is, the more our supporters will do it. Hey, we ask them all the time. They're like, please share, please tell, please do these things for us. But as long as we keep it simple, we'll have a way of ensuring that they do it. Now, a couple of other ideas that we have is we talked about for your peer-to-peer events. All your participants have to do is replace that link as opposed to your custom URL. It would be replaced with the link from their personal participant page. And did I mention again, I raised $300 on Facebook. I'm a perfect example of those who can't teach. I'm a CFRE and a great teacher how to fundraise, but when it comes right down to it, at the end of the day, I'm the last one putting that check in the mail. But I raised $300 on Facebook. So excited. We also, Given is fully mobile. So at your end of your event, maybe it's your volunteer recognition, encourage them to download the mobile app and check in. It'll help drive awareness in a very simple way. I mean, all of us, I went to Phantom of the Opera and I checked in. And then everybody's like, oh, how was it? Oh, was it better than me? Oh. It's like, encourage that behavior. Encourage them to download. that mobile app and support your charity as they check in. And finally, reward that good behavior. We're running the Spark the Good contest, and it's all about driving donor participation, getting them to spark the good for you. Help them do that for you. As I said, the mobile app is a great way to encourage your folks to participate with you. 70% of most donor interaction is now being done via mobile. It's amazing. And I'm victim of it too. I haven't gone on my personal email in probably 2 weeks. I do everything on my phone. I can't read it half the time, but I look at it. So just make it easy. Make it simple for them to share. And once you sign up, we're going to share tons of ideas with you. So the donor experience, as I said, as soon as they click your postcard, we're going to use social sign-up tools to automatically create their account. Then they can continue to share, inspire, and track their influence. So we give your donors these beautiful reports that says, hey, you raised $300 on Facebook, and that was through 12 sparks. And 19 people clicked through. And here's how it all worked and how it worked over time. You know, I want to share a personal story that I did the Fitbit challenge. My girlfriend's always like, do the Fitbit challenge this weekend, do the Fitbit challenge this weekend. And I did it once. I came out dead last. Well, you know, it was raining. You know, it was California, we'd lay around in the rain. But I'm going to tell you, that never happened again. I never wanted to be dead last again. So when your donors look at these charts, it encourages behavior. It encourages them to go out, to share, to spark, to click. The more you can get them to go to this page, the more they're going to be champions for you. And what does that mean? All of that data is then shared back with you in these influencer reports. It tells you who are those top influencers. Kathleen mentioned it in her presentation. We know who our top donors are. You know who your top donors are. Those folks that are giving you legacy gifts, you know who they are. But it's those loud voices that you don't hear that really can drive more donations, more influence, more traffic for you, and allow you to inspire greater impact if you know who those folks are. It's critical to be able to listen to those voices. And you know what? We're making it easy for you. Given will do 3 to 5 of those top things that Kathleen talked about. And if you're interested in doing more, all you've got to do is reach out and we'll try to help you. But we're going to give you Given. It's one of those tools from the tool chest that is free. It is free for the first 90 days, and then it's very inexpensive monthly pricing after that. It's a fairly new tool, so we're offering some of our early adopters the ability to help influence our roadmap, where we're going with it. Tell us how you're using it. Tell us what you'd like to see. We're going to give you tips. We're going to give you tricks. As soon as you sign up, we're going to send you a toolkit that's going to give you sample emails and what to send to your people. We're going to help you be successful specifically through this season of giving. So to kind of wrap up, Given allows you to brand a beautiful social media e-card, postcard with your voice, your photo, your logo that your people can share easily to increase your reach through their network. It'll help leverage your events, create new paths for ticket sales, new ways for your peer-to-peer participants to reach new donors, and above all, help share that data back to you so that you can have greater insight to make a stronger impact for your communities and for your mission. We really appreciate you guys being here today. I think we've got about 5 minutes, you think, for questions. But before I go to questions, we have a Spark the Good contest that's beginning October 15th through Giving Tuesday. All of the details can be found if you go to given.social. And we have some great cash prizes. I told you, I promised you a prize at the end. We're going to be awarding $10,000 to the nonprofit who gets their supporters to spark the most good. Kathleen, you want to read me some of those questions from the chat line?
One of the questions we got is that will the viewers get a copy of this webinar?
Absolutely. We're going to be sending out a copy of the recording to you with our gracious thank you for being here. And then you'll also get a little quick tip sheet that'll list out these top 10 tips for you.
And here's another question that's come in from our audience. What is the pricing after 90 days?
It is tiered pricing. It's really based on what we see as your usage needs. So if you only need a couple of users, the pricing is going to be probably $29, $39 a month, or even $10 a month for our smallest nonprofits. So the pricing is tiered, and I hate to be a little vague, but we are still early in our market adoption, but it's going to be brought to market as a very affordable solution.
Awesome.
And free for the first 90 days.
Very good. Well, when does the 90 days start?
The 90 days starts as soon as your postcard is live. And again, as soon as your postcard is live, we're going to help teach you how to get it out to your supporters.
So you mentioned the Spark the Good contest. Who's eligible? What is contest enrollment involved?
You know, it is open to all of our given customers. All you've got to do is sign up, enroll, then get your donors and your supporters, volunteers out there sparking. Because the way you win is the most sparks sets the fire. So that's how you win. So sign up, create your account, get your postcard out there for people to share, and that's all it takes to enroll.
And here's one more final question from the audience. Does their IT department need to be involved? Is this a big deal?
This is simple, simple, simple. I know lots of presenters sit here and say, oh, this is like an easy thing to do. This really is a very easy thing to do. You're going to put an image, upload an image. We're going to help you size it brilliantly. You put your logo on there, and it creates this URL. It is truly a three-step process. If you have any questions, any challenges, you need our help at any time, please feel free to reach out to me, and I will have somebody in my team get back to you within a couple of hours. We are dedicated to helping you be successful, and PCEBA wants to help you make a greater impact in your world. So thank you all so much for being here today, and have a great rest of your week.